Hi, welcome back to another extra special episode of the Instant Ramen Podcast. I'm your host, Trip, and with me is my good friend, Cierra. Cierra, how are you?
I'm good.
So this week, Juan is out of town. He's doing some cool nerd shit,
Thank
watching
God.
sports or whatever. I know, finally. So we're having an extra special romance episode.
Love is in the air.
Which I thought it would be hilarious. I'm like, because when Juan was like, yeah, I'm going to be out of town, so I don't know if you want to record early or late or get a guest or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I could figure something out. I was like, I get Cierra on or something. He's like, no! Actually, wait, yeah, that would be a good idea. Because, I don't know what he thought would happen if you were a guest on one of the episodes that he has a guest on. But he felt like this would be better. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm down, whatever. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this episode, Cierra. We're going to talk about a lot of rad shit.
And plus, this is the first time you and I are hanging out by ourselves.
Is it really?
I think so. I mean, unless you want to count, when we'd hang out in the morning at Anime Expo while Leandra and Juan were both still asleep.
I mean, I kind of want to count that because I like to think that we're friends. But
okay, we can count that. I mean, we did wall sit together also.
That was you and Leandra.
Didn't you do it after?
I don't think
Leandra
that I did.
Quit.
Maybe I took over. Maybe I tapped her out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had Rumpleman shots, so who knows?
Okay. That was still my favorite night. It was so much fun because I don't remember at what point it was, but at some point Leandra and you decided to start drinking and it didn't really stop. and when we went out to Ramen and you were just so excited, we were sitting on the wall, everyone was having a good time. We all had heart to heart, we had some good times. And then Leandra ordered the hottest ramen on accident, second hottest or whatever.
But yeah, I ordered the hottest.
You
Number
did,
one.
and you could handle it, but Leandra,
I know, poor Leandra. Even after pouring all that water in it.
That was really funny, though. It's still one of my favorite memories of any kind of Anime Expo trip or vacation or anything like that. Because Anime Expo every year, I've had some very, very different experiences. Some have been oh man, this is so new. This is so cool. I don't know what's going on. Other ones are more you know what? Anime Expo is okay, but I fucking hate this hotel and I don't really want to put up with this drive. And there's so many things that are going wrong. But then that trip was great. And then that night happened. Just, great time. And Juan went back there and he actually got some ramen.
I know.
This weekend.
He sent me a video.
Man. Yeah. And I was really fucking jealous. But then on the other hand, I was like, I could just stay in Chico and get hulas. So that's what I did tonight. And it was fantastic.
Well, which one do you like better, hulas or the ramen there?
Well, I'm more familiar with our favorite Chinese barbecue place, which isn't even actually a thing. It's I don't know exactly how to describe hulas to people. It's just a place where you go and put a bunch of shit in a bowl and then you give it to a guy and he grills it for you.
It's the spice of life, Trip.
It is the spice of life. And the whole day, my roommate Josh was whistling the Hulas theme song. So he was pretty excited about it. So the excitement and the comfortability around Hulas and yeah, pretty much all it entails. I think I would prefer it to the most delicious ramen in Los Angeles.
I would too.
Maybe it's also because I don't like soupy things as much.
Oh, you don't like soupy things?
Does it
just make you too hot?
You know what? I'm a big fan of coffee. I worked at Starbucks for 13 years, and I pretty much always got my drinks iced. There's a couple that I'm like, you know what? Give me a hot one, but very rarely.
Same here. I usually get iced or blended.
Yeah, that's just the way to live.
Yeah.
But then I've been having tea the last couple of nights. And I like tea as well, hot tea.
Hot tea is good, though.
So is hot chocolate. So is hot coffee. Hot things are good. I just tend to always not deal with that shit.
Oh, see, for me, I don't like hot chocolate.
What?
I don't know why.
You're a chocolate milk kind of guy?
I am a chocolate milk kind of guy. I do like chocolate milk. But for some reason, hot chocolate just makes my stomach feel weird. I think it's a psychological thing, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, because maybe like hot milk, but if you do the water kind of hot chocolate, that's
I usually
just
do water.
That's a fucked up mess. Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Don't do that.
That's how I was raised.
Live your life the way that you should live it. You deserve more than just water and chocolate.
Well, then you should write me a guide to life trip.
Maybe I will. It'll just be foods and candies and anime and video games, but you'll be great in any of those fields. Trust me.
Perfect.
And like, even though I love movies and stuff, like I was going into film and whatnot, I'm like, you know what? Everyone has different tastes. Some people that fucking love movies and whatnot, like DJ, who is a renowned director and musical aficionado. I don't know what to call him exactly. He has the weirdest taste in anything I've ever seen. So anyways, my opinions on movies and whatnot, like, I love it. I'm not going to give it to you. You don't need that evil.
Well, I feel like movies and music are kind of like, you know, the same thing. Yeah. It's very different for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. You're going to have a good time with anime. I promise you that.
You can promise me I'll have a good time with anime.
Fucking promise you.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
And since we're talking about anime, you watch anime frequently. That's something that people don't know about people that watch anime, is it happens frequently. I feel like I'm pretty infrequent with how much I watch it. I'm like, oh shit, I should watch some anime. And then I watch like 3 episodes of different shows. I'm like, that was a great week of anime. But then there are other people who are like, all right, well, I gotta, have one on the back burner for any time that nothing's going on, and I got one to watch.
Yes.
I have a show that I always look forward to every week, and then you have like a night where you just get together and watch anime with people.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, starting things off, how did you first get into anime?
I feel like the way I got into anime is the way most people got into anime. Is I started with Saturday morning cartoons.
That's the way it always goes.
I have, like, most people, I didn't know it was actually anime. I was like, it's right after Ninja Turtles. It's right before Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic X was an anime, though.
Was it? Is it considered an anime?
Sonic X is an anime for sure. So is Kirby Right Back at You.
I love Kirby. Does Juan tell you about how pissed off he gets every time I call his Steven Universe star shirt? I was like, oh, you're wearing your Kirby shirt.
No.
He gets so mad at me.
That's great. I like that. That's funny.
But so I started watching Sonic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Kirby,
of course,
Mew Mew Power, Wings Club, Shaman King.
Damn, you remember a lot of shit. Shaman King is one of the ones that I know Juan has talked to me about it, but it's one of those that I remember seeing ads for, and I think I saw an episode, but I felt so lost. And that is like a legit anime, because all the other ones you named, you could kind of jump in wherever and you're like, whatever fun shit's going on. But that one, I'm like, why the fuck are they like fighting demons in this crazy universe and like everyone's just cool with everything? Like, I don't understand what's going on. I know. That's kind of how I felt. So. Yeah.
I mean, like, unfortunately for most of those, because they're on Saturdays and I was playing like soccer also on the weekends. Like for me, like, missing an episode here and there, Wings Club and Mew Power wasn't a big deal, because it's like, oh, another battle. Oh, it ends happy. Whatever. It was kind of the same little episode over and over, but slightly different. But Shaman King, that was like one of the first animes that actually like built on each episode. And so if you missed one, you were kind of lost and confused.
That's how I always felt about Digimon, but thank God they did that thing where they were like, on the last episode of Digimon. And they would like show you that Ty and Matt got in like a weird fight and Joe's floating out in the middle of space on a bed. Just good shit like that. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think that Ty was more in space and Joe was in like the mountains.
I'll take your word for it, because I didn't watch all of Digimon.
Oh man, you would have had a great time watching all those other things. Digimon was the quintessential for me, because it had it in the mornings, on the weekend, which was always fun, and then it also had it when I would get home from school. They would be airing it, and that's why I watched the second season of Digimon. And I remember they were in like Russia. That's also a thing that I thought was really interesting about these shows.
In Russia?
Yeah. Like in most children's shows that I had seen, it's just like everything takes place in one town or like in a fucking crazy world, like Chalk Zone. They do whatever the hell they want. But they never like go to actual locations around the world, and you can't get a sense of how big the world is. And this was the first show that I was like, whoa, like Japan and Russia are like kind of far, I think. I don't know. And then when I found out where it was in Russia, I'm like, oh my God, wait, that is like insanely far. They show you on like a map and they're right next to Europe over there. And it's like,
so educational.
Yeah, I learned some shit. And I was like, whoa, this is fucking huge. Like, these are children traveling huge distances. I thought it was really cool. So,
could you imagine traveling that far as a kid?
No, that's another thing. I'm like, when I was younger, like 4 or 5 years old, my parents took us to Hawaii, my little baby sister and I had no idea how far it was until I was older.
Yeah.
And like, it didn't feel like any time at all. I don't know what the fuck it is. But then at the age that I was watching Digimon, like 8 to 10, somewhere around there, that's when I could really realize like the grand scheme of how the world works and how big all countries are and whatnot. And I was fucking blown away by it. It like blew my mind. Digimon just did this whole thing. I'm watching Metabots and they're just fighting in a little town in like a playground. And I'm like, this is huge. And then you go to Digimon and you're like, never mind. I don't know anything that I was talking about before. So I like that. That like anime fucking blew my mind as a kid, and I didn't realize it was anime.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was for me. But yeah, because like after basically, you know, watching the animes on Saturday morning,
with your cartoons as they call them.
Yeah, I didn't even know that you could find anime on the internet for the longest time ever.
Right.
I don't think I started watching anime on the internet, like on like actual like anime websites like Funimation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't start watching it on that until maybe junior year. Before that, I just like watched like the short clips on YouTube that people posted.
That's kind of what like you needed to do. And YouTube was such a new thing too that people could get away with that a lot easier than they can now. So like when I first started watching anime, I had no idea how to watch it. Had to go to like Cartoon Network, stay up super late, Adult Swim, and then I suddenly started putting on anime, and it was so exciting because you never knew what you were in for, and that's why I watched so much Inuyasha. I'm like, I could not tell you shit about that. There was a tiny little flea man, and I think that there was some girl that's just like a normal ass girl, and then there's a half demon boy who's got some ears, and like sometimes he turns into a super demon, and there's this like dog that changes sizes, I think, and all of this shit. I like know nothing about it, but I saw it so much and I loved it. I don't know why I did.
I watched that one too because that's because my family, we didn't have like cable, so we didn't have Cartoon Network or anything like that.
Sure.
So when I'd spend the night at my friend Emily's house, we would stay up late, watch Adult Swim, and like that's how I got hooked onto Inuyasha. Yeah, and I like literally like tried to spend the night at her house like every single weekend, so I could watch it.
So at my dad's, we had satellite, so I was fine over there. So I would try to spend like the same as you. I would try to spend like every single weekend at my mom's. I would go over to my friend's house. I'd be like, gotta watch some Trigun, man. You gotta show me more. I was in like 5th or 6th grade at the time, and I was like, I get this. This is amazing. And then as soon as I went to junior high, I don't think that I watched like any anime until either the next year or the year after. Okay. But I started figuring out what anime was. Yeah. And Trigun, I remember being the first one that I like needed to see. And then there was everything else that aired, and I would just watch it, but I didn't really care too much about it as much as Trigun. I don't know why. It's probably because just my friend got me excited about it. Yeah. But it wound up being one of my favorite shows, so I'm still okay with that. But then I remember there was a certain point where I'm like, oh, damn, that movie looks really cool. And then my other friend, he like told me about Princess Mononoke, and I had never seen that, but I had seen like so many other Studio Ghibli films.
Okay.
So I was familiar with it. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's check this out. I was like, oh, that was so good. And then we watched Paprika, and we just like started having a great time with anime, and found out that it exists in like a section at the video store.
Yeah. That's what I started doing too. I started like renting VHSs and DVDs from All the Best Video.
You have to go to like the special interest section
in
order to find it. Oh man. Yeah, that changed my life, figuring out that you can go and rent anime. Like, I fucking thought you had to stay up until 2 a.m. in order to watch anime, and it was bullshit.
Yes.
But it all wound up working out, and now we're living in an age where we could watch any anime we want at like any time. Whether it's legal or not, there are tons of websites you could go and watch it. You could just download it online. And now I'm at a point in my life too, where all those things that I've gotten a hold of, but I wasn't able to watch the normal way, I can go ahead and take care of it and buy it. So there are certain things that I've appreciated, and I'm happy I watched them, and I'll go ahead and buy those. But then there's also times, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you want to find an anime, absolutely fucking can't, and you can't do it, so you find like everything that you can online, and you're watching like bits and pieces and struggling, and you're like, I would buy this, I want to buy this, and you just do the best you can and try to find it. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard sometimes, but yeah, a lot of the times when I haven't been able to like actually find it to watch, that's usually when I buy like the manga and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a small little collection of manga that I started when I was like, oh, I really want to watch this one because I saw like a little trailer on YouTube or something. So I was like, oh, and then I try and find it English subbed or dubbed or something, and it's not there. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just have to buy the manga.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done that for many things. I've done that for like a couple, where I've been in like Sacramento, and then I'm going through some like little bookstore. I'm like, oh shit, I've seen some of this, but I don't know where it is or what it's from, so I'm just gonna grab this. Yeah, it's satisfying. So you said your collection is small. Yes. But I feel like you are lying. How big is your manga collection? Well, okay, small meaning like I only have I think 4 or 5 different actual like mangas, but I mean I have almost all of like the books within so
those.
You have like 30 of each.
Close to that, yeah.
Okay, so that's not very small. Like I've got a shelf of just manga books, and then I have a.
Well, my diversity is small.
Yes, your diversity is small.
Volume is large.
I have a pretty large diversity and not many actual series.
Okay.
I've lent out series and stuff, or like I'll not be able to continue reading it because they haven't released it in the US, so you have to like go online because you're like, no, I fucking need it now. So you have to go and watch or read it on like Manga Fox. Isn't that one? I don't know. The only time that I read a manga online was for Attack on Titan. Oh, really? Yeah, but I didn't finish it because it wasn't giving me like answers fast enough in reading it. Okay, yeah. And so I was just like, screw it. I'm just gonna wait for the anime. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've done similar things with Attack on Titan. Kind of like I watched the first season. I started reading the manga, and I was fucking upset that I wasn't getting where I wanted to go. But I only read like 2 books, so I didn't even get close to where you were for that. But like, I couldn't fucking deal with it. I was just so upset. I'm like, whatever, I'll just wait for the fucking show. And then I don't know how long it was, like 4 years later, the show comes out, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I got more questions, not really any more answers, but I'm excited. So I'm down with Attack on Titan stuff. When I was reading it, I was just trying to get to the point where they finally get down in the freaking basement. I was like, that's all I wanted. That's all I want to see. Right. I was like, I just want that to finally be out in the open. But I read so much and I hadn't gotten there yet. So I was like, whatever, I'm done. I'll just watch it. I have a friend. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. Tom, you know Tom. Yes, I do know Tom. Fucking monster man. He decided to go ahead and look up spoilers for it. I've made that mistake on so many things before. I like. You seek it out on purpose?
No,
okay, because suck it out on purpose.
I go out to find like to clear up something that I maybe like misunderstood or was confused about.
Yeah.
And then while I was reading, then something spoiled and I was like, oh my gosh. And usually when that happens, Juan's with me. And I was like, Juan, you won't believe what happened. He's like, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I wouldn't be okay with that. You shut the fuck up right now. You don't tell me anything. Yeah, but like what happens in the basement? I had theorized it. Not really theorized, like logically ascertained that information. Yeah. My roommate and I would discuss it extensively, like all the different things that happen, what could possibly happen, what's up with the basement, what's up with Aaron, what's up with all this shit. And then we like kind of figured it out on our own. So we're like, oh shit, okay, cool. Like after confirming it, we're like, this is the only possible thing we could ever imagine. Just tell us if we're right. And then I don't know how much of it we know, but Tom said we're right. And what I'm trying to say is Attack on Titan is a show where like it shows you enough information for it to like give you the facts in a really convoluted way.
Yes.
So I was super happy with that. I love Attack on Titan. This is a great show.
I do too.
It's a good time.
I love it a lot.
So then after going back to you having to go to your friend's house like every night to go watch Inuyasha, after you got over that period and you were able to figure out that all of the anime and whatnot exists on YouTube and everything, how did you figure out what anime you wanted to watch?
Basically how I figured out what ones I wanted to watch was from my friend who I used to spend the night at her house all the time. Because she had access to cable this entire time. She watched it all the time. Yeah. And so she's like, oh, I've been watching this show. You should really check it out. So, I'm on YouTube watching, these different little shows that she's suggesting and stuff like that. So that's how I started, like figuring out what I liked and didn't like because off of her suggestions. Because I didn't see like previews or commercials or news or anything like that at all. You don't get that kind
of opportunity.
No, not at all.
That is super interesting because like I had stopped talking to my friends who had yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I stopped talking to all of my friends and I needed to figure out what anime to watch. And like there would be new people that would, I don't know how exactly. Maybe it's because I told them that like I had watched these shows. I'm like, oh man, they're so good. We should fucking watch them. Because I tried to convince so many people to watch different animes with me. And I'm like, you got to check out Trigun. And I got like 2 people to do it. And they were like, yeah, it was a really good show. That was like, everyone else was like, no, go fuck yourself, Chris. Like I tried it. It sucks. I don't want to watch it. So whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. But then like, I wound up meeting this dude who lived in Paradise. Like we both lived in Paradise, but we both went to Chico High. So it was like, oh shit, this is
Kindred
fucking cool.
Spirits.
So we wound up being anime buddies, and he would always be watching like Cartoon Network. He would always have Adult Swim going. He would watch all that fucking anime. And there was a lot that I had missed in this period of time where I stopped hanging out with the guy who watched all this anime.
Yeah.
I never stayed up late enough to watch it at my dad's. And then at my mom's, I would always stay up late. I don't know why that was. I guess I just have different motives at different houses. Anyways, I didn't stay up late enough. So I never really got to watch any anime. And I would see these ads and whatnot. I'm like, oh man, what the fuck is Bleach? That looks so cool. But I would never watch it. So
that was one that Emily suggested that I never started. Like I watched an episode here and there when I came over at her house because it was on or whatever. But by the time I got into that like consistency of watching anime, like it was already too far gone for me. And I was like, too late for me to jump in.
So I was over at his house once. He had suggested to watch like Fooly Cooly and Cowboy Bebop and my other friend. I made a friend online who lived in LA and he was Japanese and he knows like a shitload of anime stuff. So he was kind of like my hookup, like, yo man, what the fuck should I watch? And then he had a bunch of friends that were also like nerdy ass pieces of shit and they helped me out with different things I should watch later on. Anyways, so I found out about all this great anime and then I went over to his house once and he's watching Bleach, and I'm like, this is the first episode I've seen. I'm so excited. And I fucking hated it. I wanted to watch it so bad. They were fighting this demon that was possessing like water, I think.
Sounds typical.
But they were at like a school, and it was water in like drinking fountains and stuff. It was so stupid. I was like, all right, man, you enjoy your show. Whatever. I'm sitting here watching it. I'm having a good time. And then I think Code Geass came on after that. And I think that's all that I saw at his house that time. But I remember so specifically seeing Bleach and being like, this is fucking what you watch. But then he recommended all this anime and whatnot, so it wound up working out. Like he helped me out in the long run. But yeah, the different ways that you wind up figuring out what anime is what, and it's just weird because now it's like, go on Crunchyroll. There's 7,000 shows. You can watch anything, and you're pretty much guaranteed a good time.
Yeah. And it's kind of overwhelming that there's so many, too. Because, like, since this was my first time at Anime Expo, and I was telling Juan, and maybe I told you too, but, like, you know, when I walk in and I see, like, everyone's cosplay, and I see all, like, the little items and trinkets and posters that are for sale, and I maybe like recognize like 1/50th of like all that stuff out there. I was like, I feel so left behind. I feel like I'm so uneducated that I'm just not competent in anime anymore.
See, that seems so fucking weird too, because Juan and I have been doing this show for a while now.
Yeah.
And you've listened to every episode.
Yes.
And you still felt lost. Like I did too. Like that's the fucking weird thing. Because we watch all this anime each season. We know what's going on. And then you're just like, who the fuck is that? And you're like, oh, that's some character from Tokyo Ghoul. And you're just like, how did you tell that? He wasn't the one with the face thing.
Yeah.
But he was another one with the face thing. And I don't know. It just everyone's got like weird shit going on. And then Juan watches all these weird animes that I don't know how he finds them. Like Danganronpa or whatever the hell it is. And like every once in a while you see like a bear and you're like, oh, that's that thing. But then there's just a bunch of generic anime school kids walking around and you're like, I don't know what show you're from, but like you guys are having fun and that's great. You don't see any fucking shows that you want to see, like Flip Flappers. And I'm still upset about that. But it's okay. Anime Expo was a fucking great time. It is a great
time, but I felt like so left behind when I went there that literally after we got back, like I just like binged on like so many different ones.
Well, and that was the week that all this new anime was starting too.
Yeah.
So did you binge on like all of those, or did you try to find old ones that you meant to watch?
I binged on some of the ones that Juan had been pressing me to watch, like Mob Psycho and One Punch Man.
Yep.
And then there was another one that I watched that you and Juan had watched on an episode for the podcast. I don't remember what it is. I wish I could remember.
Do you remember what it's about?
I don't. I just remember that you guys said it was garbage, but I decided to watch it anyways.
Handshakers?
No.
That's the quintessential like, holy fuck, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I just go straight to that. I don't know. It's the worst. Anyways, continue. You binge watched a bunch of shows.
Yeah, I binge watched a whole bunch. But then, like work started picking up, so I started slowing down, but
different things make you slow down. You can get burnt out on anime. I don't know what it is. Like Juan always watches it in English while he's doing other shit.
Yeah.
And I always get jealous of that. But then I find myself like, I recently watched the new season of Stranger Things, and during that, I wanted to go ahead and like play some video games while I was doing that like I've already played before. There's a remake of this Mario game, and I wanted to play it. And I don't have to pay too much attention to it, and it would be easy enough. Anyways, I wound up just watching Stranger Things. Like, I can never commit, but then like sometimes I can. I was doing laundry while I was watching Sherlock, and like that worked out. And
I love Sherlock.
Me too. And I stopped like halfway through the last episode on Netflix, and I fucking love Sherlock. It's great.
I love it too.
But anime is difficult to watch because it's a commitment. You have to read the subtitles, and if you do watch it in English, it's still a commitment because anime is fucking weird. So you have to like pay attention to every little thing. Otherwise, you might miss something that's important. Unless you're watching like a slice of life type thing, in which case nothing really matters anyways. But I don't know. Anime just has this whole different feel to it when you're watching it than an American TV show.
Yeah,
I feel like I never have to try with American TV. Like, even when it's a more complicated show, if you're watching, like, Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or something, I still feel like I don't have to try as, like, after you learn the names of everyone. You're good.
And I feel like, in the sense, like, for Game of Thrones, like, usually in, like, the next episode, you usually, get, like, a peek at what happened last time.
Yeah, they always
and stuff
give
like
you that little recap.
Or at least you get the important highlights that are actually, like, essential to the storylines.
Yeah, they show you, like, a little clip of Bran falling out the window, and you're like, I don't know why that's going to be important, but I remember it now. Thanks. Like, that's all you need to know. But for anime, even if you're, like, they have recap episodes, but fuck recap episodes. We went hardcore on these last, like, 13 episodes. Why can't we just jump into the next? Anime is really easy for me to binge watch.
Yes, me too.
American television is a different kind of binge watching, but, like, I could still do it just fine. That's something I like to do if I'm, like, laying in bed sick or something.
Yeah.
But for anime, I need to be, like, that's my day. I'm on the couch. I am reading. I'm watching. It's very important. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Lately, anime has been my way to decompress after work.
Yeah, that's true. Because you have to get lost in these worlds.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just a simple little thing where they're just hanging out, having a good time together, you're like, all right, I'm in your world now. I'm done with my own. And it's good.
Yeah.
I feel you. It's a good way to decompress. So there have been so many different kinds of shows out there. Whether it's like a more intense, long series, something like Naruto.
Yeah.
Or you have something that's short and sweet and really concise and it wraps up super quickly.
Yeah.
They all have like different kinds of genres and different feelings to the genres. I don't know. My question is essentially, what makes you enjoy a show more than others?
It has to, basically, whether or not I choose to watch a show it has to be able to keep my attention. Because, like, there's a lot of times when, like, Juan will be like, oh, you should watch this anime. And I start watching it, and it just doesn't grab me like it grabbed him.
Right.
And then I just can't watch it. It's like reading the same line in a book over and over.
I completely agree with you on that, where I don't know what it is. There's just a certain element that can grab you and keep you. And Juan feels like Eureka 7 didn't do that to him. Yeah. And it grabbed me immediately.
I feel the same way about Eureka 7.
Which is totally fine. And then there are other shows that I'm fucking positive I would love it. And it's so frustrating to me that I couldn't just get into it. But like Your Lie in April, it comes up all the time. People talk about crying and then they think about it and then they start crying again like a year later. And it blows my mind. And just recently on the like top posts of the week for anime and Reddit, they had a post. It's like one of the hot, I don't know, thousands of people voting it. Anyways, they were like, I just finished Your Lie in April and I can't stop crying. I'm always watching it with my wife and we're both just crying and we can't handle it. Meanwhile, I watched the first few episodes. I'm like, okay, there's some sad things in here, but also like it's I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And that's one of those shows where I really want to commit to it, but it's hard. It needs to grab you.
Oh yeah. That's why I've been kind of like putting off on trying to watch Steins Gate because Juan told me, it's really like kind of slow and you don't understand quite everything.
Some people disagree
in the beginning.
I don't understand those people. I could not get into Steins Gate. I don't know why I powered through it, but there were like a couple things where I was like, I want to see what happens next. And then it hits a certain point and you're like, I'm hooked. But it took way longer than it should. The first episode hooked me right away. And then it didn't have anything that hooked me for the next like 8 episodes. Like it had nothing.
That'd be so hard for me. Cause I mean, there's some anime that I really want to watch this cause I heard it's good.
Yeah.
And then it just, it's like one of those shows that takes me forever to finally complete. I just come back to it after I've finished another show that I've enjoyed, or if I'm bored, I'm like, oh, I'll just watch one episode of this. But
yeah, I totally feel you. That's surprisingly though, some of my favorite shows have been shows that I wasn't interested in. Like Madoka Magica. Fucking love it. But I could not get into it. I was like, you know what? There seems like there's some cool shit going on, but I don't really know. And then I got almost done with it, and I was just like, this is maybe the best show I've ever seen. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I was thinking, this is great. And yeah, it's weird how there are so many different ways that you could tell a story.
Yeah.
And some of them, in order to be good, they make you wait. But
yeah,
it's so hard to tell which ones are going to make you wait. Except for Steins Gate. Steins Gate had a lot of shit set up, and they knew what they were fucking doing. But I could not tell from Madoka Magica. Like, those are the 2 most difficult shows that I had ever watched and enjoyed. Like,
oh yeah. If you ask Juan, I have a very low patience.
That's fair.
And so that's why he's like, oh, you should work on your patience. He's like, you just have to get through this and then you'll be good. And I was just like, I can't. I just start zoning out or getting distracted. And it's just
I don't know how Juan does it. He can watch so much more of something than like I ever could. I'm like, you watched 3 episodes of this show? It was so bad. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, I watched it, so whatever. What the fuck? It's crazy to me. And then there are other times, and I just like, I wish that he had the patience for it, like Eureka 7. I'm like, I know he will like it. I 100% know Juan well enough to know he will like it, but he just won't give it a fucking chance.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but like,
Yeah.
I know he would.
Eureka 7 was one of the ones that Emily suggested to me, and I think I watched maybe like 7 episodes.
Sure.
And I don't know. I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't going somewhere fast enough for me.
I can't tell you at what point it felt like it was picking up for me and it became like this amazing show. But I remember the beginning, they did one of the things that I absolutely love in anime is that they could build a world really quickly. Yeah. And they did that for me. And I wanted to know more about the world. And it took a long fucking time. And there were parts where I was like, I still don't understand what's happening. And then finally by the end, you're just like, I think I get it. And this is mind blowing. That's how I felt. Like between all these crazy kinds of events, like the 7 swell starting at the beginning, I was like, well, what the fuck is that? I want to know more about that. And they have the you could surf in the sky type thing. I was like, that seems cool. And apparently there's a big war going on. There's like a military zone, and I kept getting more and more interested. Like, how did all these mechs come about? Clearly, like, there's weird things going on with people. I just wanted to know more and more. And I think that's what grabbed me so much about the show. But other people need actual plot and stuff. Yeah. Which I totally get. And the Eureka 7 took a long time before you figure out what it is. Yeah. They make you stick with the main character who doesn't know anything for such a long time. Yes. And then finally it hits a point and you're just like, I understand what's happening. And the reason we didn't know is because we kind of saw it all from the main character's view, and he's young and they don't tell him anything yet. And it just, but at a certain point it definitely tipped and I was like, fucking into it. Cierra, it was a great time. So if I get Juan to watch it, you should watch it with him and support him through it, because I think, I'm not 100% on you, but I think you would really like it, especially since it fits with today's topic of romance. I don't know if you got that at all from the show. You didn't. That's
I did, because I mean the main character is in love with her.
It's not even close to the main character. Fuck the main character. Fuck Eureka. Fuck all that shit. It's about Dominic and Anemone, and you wouldn't fucking know that because you haven't watched enough of the show. But but that's the thing about it. Like there's so much to it. Whenever I tell people about it that have like seen a couple episodes, I'm like, okay, well, it's about war and it's about love and it's about peace, and it's mostly about just like universal acceptance of all religions and just a harmony. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, watch the show. It's fucking great. Yeah, it just seems like a fun little adventure. But back to just whatever the fuck we were talking about earlier. It takes a bit for you to get like interested in a show. It has to grab you. But what are the things that grab you more than anything else? Because for me, like world building is a huge one. And then characters can easily do it. If there's a character that I really like, or like a few, some shows give you like a really good plot and you're like, I need to fucking see how this plays out. Or sometimes they give you like a little snippet from the future and then you go back and you see how they got to that point.
Yeah.
So many different story elements that can make a show good or better. But what are the shows that like you hook onto? What are those kinds of shows?
Let's see. I mean, out of sort of the different elements you listed, I feel like for me, one of the parts that grabs me the most is getting attached to the characters or the main character and getting invested in whatever their story is about. Okay. Because if I'm not invested in that, or if I like, if I don't know why they're doing what they're doing or what they're going after, what their goal is,
sure,
then I'm just like, well, then why am I here? Am I just going to be walking blind through this journey the entire time?
There's some shows that are really hard. Like Erased did a great job at making me care about the characters right away.
I loved Erased.
I didn't know what the plot was going to be. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was hooked by the characters. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I liked in Erased how they kind of revealed like the plot and what the goal was right away
in a different way than what wound up happening though.
Yeah.
So like, the plot of the show, but then you find out that there's more to it in a way, and there's different elements that get added throughout. Yeah,
you see the different layers of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Which like some shows are just like, all right, bad guy, go stop him. Sometimes that's all it is,
I think for me, though, when I was younger, when I first started watching the anime, for me, what hooked me was falling in love with, like, the lead male or whatever that was in it. Like,
you were just
I was head over heels with Inuyasha.
Dude, who wasn't, though?
Like, as a birthday gift, Emily like made me like a little booklet of like printed out pictures of like different Inuyasha pictures from amazing. Google. I still have it because I still love it.
Yeah, I've never had anybody care about me that much. That is amazing.
So yeah, I have a little booklet with a whole bunch of Inuyasha pictures. And then like in Shaman King, I fell in love with the character Ren. And let's see what else. Like in a lot of like Mew Mew Power and stuff like that, they had like, the love triangle.
Sure, yeah.
And then in Winx Club, all the boys there are like pretty boys. So how could I not love them? So definitely when I was younger, it was like about like the boys, the boy characters that were involved, and like the love that they were having with like the girls involved in there.
Of course, yeah.
But now that I'm older,
now it's about the girls.
Yes, all about the girls.
Exactly.
Now for me, I don't know, because I have a lot more like diverse taste, so it's hard to kind of like pin exactly
it is very hard,
what it is. Because like I know I've watched some shows that Juan's like, why the fuck are you watching that and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I'm watching it because like it's so ridiculous, or I'm watching it because it's unique compared to like other stuff that I've watched. Like I know that you and Juan weren't really with like the Aoyama Clean Freak.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get behind that one, but like I understand it.
Yeah, I watched all of that.
You watched all of it? How did you like it?
I watched all of it. Like it was okay, but because like even though they kind of like focused on Aoyama, basically like the whole thing, you also got each episode basically showed his interaction with a new person.
Sure, yeah.
Which, so basically you almost go through like the whole soccer team, and then like there's a little extra little love side story and stuff like that.
Come on, Aoyama is just like the nicest, sexy. Actually, is he nice? I don't think he's nice. He's kind of like stern.
He's not like mean. I feel like he's just kind of like almost like blank, because he's just. But what's funny is in one of the episodes is like, you know, in person, you know, he's just kind of like almost has like no personality.
Yeah.
But I guess like he plays games online, and in his online life, he's just wild and crazy or whatever.
See, that's fun. I like that. Like those kinds of little character development things are so much fun. I love when shows do that. It happens more in anime than it happens in American television. But I love finding out, like, you know this character for a long time, and then you get to go to their house, and you're like, holy shit, you're totally different than the way you were, like, anywhere else. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. It's great. But yeah, it's difficult when you have such diverse taste to figure out what exactly appeals to you. Like, at this point, for me, I know for sure things that make me sentimental, like in the beginning, make me want to fucking cry. And I'm like, yeah, this show, that's for me. I'm watching this now. But then there are a lot that I take chances on. I'm like, I think I might like this. And then I wind up not caring about it at all. Yeah. And it's really hard to tell with different seasons of anime. I feel like as time goes on, the way that stories are written change a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, things that have for sure hooked me is when there's something really mysterious going on. If it's, like, otherworldly mysterious, but everything else seems, like, kind of normal.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
Like, the first episode I watched of Angel Beats, I was like, I have to fucking see this whole show right now because it just hooked me from the intro, like, the theme song was really good and really cool, to just the whole idea of the first episode. There's a big like strike going on. The main character has just died and he's in limbo. And I'm like, so much is happening right now. And he's like so bewildered. Like, we have to kill that nice girl down there. And you're like, I don't know what to do. And then he just gets stabbed by the nice girl. And then he's fine. And he wakes up and he's fine. It is. It's always the nice. You gotta get a crazy girl. Yep. She's not gonna kill you. Maybe don't take that advice, but you know. But like when you have story elements that are so surprising and so different, that'll definitely hook me. Made in Abyss hooked me from the world building and how matter of fact, like, all of the difficult times were for these characters. Yeah. They were just like, that's just the way life is, and that's what I expect. I'm like, you're like 10 years old. Okay. And if it's something like One Punch Man, it's like, okay, this has like really funny action, and it just comes at you, and it stays consistent all throughout.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Over the top. And
yeah. And even slice of life things. It's like, this is comfortable, and like I had a fun time. I'm gonna keep watching this. Like, right now I'm watching Recovery of an MMO Junkie, and it's not challenging by any means, that I'm having a fun time with it. It's really, really easy for me to watch. But then there are other shows, and they fit into those same categories, and I fucking hate them. Like Handshakers has some crazy shit, and I'm like, I want to know what's going on, but I hate these characters. I hate the animation. I hate the plot. I hate all this. But like, I wish I knew what was going on, you know, different things. Or if the animation looks amazing and everything looks great, that'll hook me too. So that's kind of how I got hooked on Sound Euphonium, is from the animation. I was like, this show looks beautiful. And then it wound up being about music. And I was like, this might be a great time. And it was a slice of life, and it was pretty easy. But it was still like, it had so much more going on, and it wasn't just like a happy, fun time every episode. It was continuous, and like, it's these characters dealing with different shit you never expect. And I love that. So when there's good animation, doesn't mean the show is going to be good, but it'll hook me for a minute.
Yeah. They'll at least get you to the second episode, or maybe a few after that.
Well, one of the shows that I think looks amazing that I'm not interested in is Food Wars. Never cared about it.
I wanted to try that one, but I never did. Mostly because you and Juan were like,
You know what? Give it a shot, but I don't know if you're going to like it or not. It just starts out and you're like, okay, this character, he has to cook food and like his restaurant might go out of business, might be shut down. So he's got to make sure that he really impresses the person that might shut him down. So they keep it open or whatever. And then as they're like, you're going to be shut down, he's like, try this, please. And then she like orgasms from it. And I was like, but it wasn't like this is the thing that I don't know about it. I think it's a joke. I really think it's a joke. But they worked way too hard on it to make it like actually erotic too, which is why it bothers me so much. It's like if it was over the top, ridiculous, sexualized, that's okay. But it was just too erotic and I felt like they were being too genuine about it.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But because what's the name of the anime where like with all like the boobs and butt fighting or whatever?
Oh yeah, Keijo. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that one I could tell it's over the top.
Well, yeah, because like, you know, you and Juan love that one. And like
Juan loved it?
Yeah, he thought it was hilarious.
Good. Okay. I'm like, I thought he didn't like it because he didn't finish it. I don't think.
Well, he didn't finish it, but like he like enjoyed it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he didn't like. He's like, oh, that was a waste of my time. He wasn't like that or anything.
No, it was ludicrous. Like I would watch it and be like, what am I fucking doing with my life? And then I would laugh. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's okay.
But yeah, he tried to get me to watch it for the longest time. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I do watch like, you know, shows that are kind of like ridiculous and like weird and over the top. They have some
weird provocative type jokes and whatnot. Yeah, sure.
But I don't know. I decided not to try it or give it a chance because I was like, I don't know.
Okay, well, you might want to check it out. It has some fucking great things. I remember, like, it's kind of far into it, but they have different names for different attacks and whatnot. They're attacks. They're not like moves, in my opinion, because they have names for it. But there was like this enormous woman, and she uses her attack, Batak on Titan. She's like a giant fucking monster that's like terrorizing a village with her ass. So,
nice.
like, that's pretty good shit. Like, that's some top tier. It was really funny, though. I was surprised that I actually liked it so much. I thought it was going to be fucking dumb. And then I was like, the animation looks good. And honestly, the intro kind of has me, like, cracking up. But it's like, what the fuck is this? I don't even understand how this is a show. And I watched it, and I was like, no, I kind of get it. Long story short. Now we know about you and your anime experiences. So we are going to move on to the episode. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about news for this week, since I know that you do like to keep up with the anime news. So first things first, Eromanga Sensei is going to be receiving an OVA in 2018.
Woohoo!
I know you're excited about that. Did you get the pleasure of watching the first episode of that with Juan?
No.
Okay, well, you know enough about it. Eromanga Sensei is about a dude and his stepsister, and they make pornographic material together. It's interesting. And when I say that, I mean they're doing like pictures, like erotic pictures, not like, So she's drawing the pictures, and he's like writing the smut to go along with it.
So they're basically like writing like hentai or whatever?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Dirty manga.
It's weird. I did not like it, but some people were fucking into it. And that's just one of those things where I'm like, I can't tell if people are like, oh my God, this is so sexy. This is the best shit. Like, oh man, so risque. Who knew that something taboo could be? But I also think there might be people that are watching it and they think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But they didn't make it feel like it was hilarious. And I just don't understand people that are watching smut as entertainment, because I totally understand if you're trying to like just watch smut. But why are you going out and being so public about it? Like, that's the thing that I never understand. Oh man, you seen Eromanga Sensei? Like, ugh. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how I feel about that.
I'll just say I feel the same way you feel.
Good. Okay. Next piece of news. Your Name came out on DVD and Blu-ray in the United States this week.
You can buy it?
I already bought it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I bought it like immediately. I got this collector's edition and it looks fucking great. It has a couple of CDs with it. It's got the Blu-ray disc, the DVD, and it has this. It's a box that opens up, like it's split in the middle and you just pull it apart. So it's like really weird, but it has an art book with it too, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, so I bought that immediately, and apparently everyone else in the world did too, because it's Amazon's number 2 top selling Blu-ray.
Oh, wow.
For this week. So that's pretty cool. Your Name making it up there, which makes a lot of sense because it was an amazing movie and it did air all over the world. So makes sense. But it's cool seeing that where you're like, all right, top Blu-ray or whatever. If somebody's just going to like get something to watch, then Amazon's like, yo, check this shit out. Like, okay, cool. Will do. So maybe more people are going to buy it. Maybe more people are going to become fucking
introduced to anime
losers like us. Yeah, exactly. The anime introduction they need. Next up, important news here. There are 5 anime films that are being submitted for the best animated feature at the Oscars.
At the Oscars?
Yeah. So the 2 that I could remember is something about the fire and the witch and the flower. You remember it? Yeah, it's that one thing. It looks like Studio Ghibli, but it's not that one because it has people that used to work on it.
The way you described it almost made it sound like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It is that, but it's an anime. And then Your Name is also on there.
Not surprising.
Or no. Your Name was on there last year.
Oh, last
That's what it was. A Silent Voice is on there now.
Yes.
Which I really hope that it wins something. Did you watch it with Juan?
I did.
Did you just lose your shit?
I didn't lose my shit. Like, I was telling Juan, like, I didn't get like emotional while I was watching it. Yeah. I got emotional when he and I were discussing it.
That's so interesting, actually. That's crazy. Because while I was watching it, like from like the second scene, I was just like crying.
Oh, I know. Juan told me everything.
Good, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I was like fucking losing it. And then Kyle was over here the other night and he wanted to watch it, so we put it on. And after the movie, he was just like, oh yeah. Like
it made God cry.
That was intense. Yeah, no, I don't know how you made it through without crying, but it is an amazing film. So I'm happy to know that it's going to be at the Oscars. Hopefully everybody sees this movie because they definitely should. A Silent Voice, best movie of all time, maybe.
Of all time.
I don't know. It's timeless, you know. But no, I feel like it's a really important movie. And I had said that before. But it deals a lot with like depression and friendship and just like getting through tough times. And at the very end, it's a little happy.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm so glad that everything's okay. It's like things aren't okay, but we're trying, you know?
Oh yeah. People, I think that was kind of like the point. Like, you know, like you can work through it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking great movie. I could just like cry talking about it, but I'm not going to, but I could. But I'm not. But like, I really easily could see her. I'm like crying right now. I'm like right there. I'm like on the verge of crying.
Well, if you do, it'll be the first time I see you cry.
Really?
I think so. I don't think I've seen you cry before.
That sounds right. But I feel like I've been super emotional this last week. I watched like A Silent Voice twice, and I've been dealing with some shit. And I'm like, I could fucking cry right now. You want to see me cry?
Okay, let's see it.
Say something mean to me. And then say the nicest thing you've ever said to anyone, and I will lose my shit. It has to be genuinely mean. It has to make me feel like I did something wrong in my life, and I should have never, ever existed.
I don't think I could come up with anything on the spot.
That's because you're a good person, Cierra. That's because you're a good person. That's all the news that I have for this week. By the way, nothing else. News pretty easy to go through because there was nothing. So that leaves our topic of this evening, day. I don't know. It's nighttime when we're talking, but it's daytime when Kyle's listening. So it's really like, who knows? you know?
Will he listen to this during the daytime? What if he listens to it while he's like getting ready for bed?
Kyle does not want to hear me when he's getting ready for bed. I can guarantee you his routine is heavy metal music blaring. He like looks at a picture of a bat for 10 minutes and then he grabs a handful of Cheetos, throws it out his window and goes to bed. And he will never take my advice while he's doing that.
All right.
Long story short, this week's topic is romance.
Oh.
It's a romantic week.
It is. It's not even Valentine's Day.
I was just going to say, I think it's Valentine's Day, but it's not.
Well, I mean, I guess we can make it like second Valentine's Day.
How about we just release this episode like weeks later, months later?
Hold on to it until February 14th and then release it.
Like, this week in news. But, 4 months ago. So romance anime. I know that you are a big fan of love. Because everybody is, I'm pretty sure. Does anybody not like love? I love love, man.
I love love too. And that's why I loved all those boys in anime when I was younger.
Oh, let me go over the girls in anime that I loved when I was younger.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Sora from Digimon. Okay. She was fucking kick-ass.
She's the one with the cowboy hat, right?
No, that's Mimi.
Oh.
No, Sora's the one with the little, like...
I told you, I only watched a little bit of Digimon.
She has, like, this blue... I don't even know what to call it. It's like a South Park hat.
Okay.
Where it's, like, kind of like a beanie, but it's not.
It's yarmulke?
It's not a yarmulke. No, it's like a... fucking... It's a, like... aviator helmet looking thing. Anyways, because she rode around on a bird. She had like Moltres, but it was a Digimon, and she was fucking kick-ass. So first off, she was super fucking cool. And then Millie from Trigun, the giant woman, could not convince me that she wasn't the best person alive. And those are my two.
Only two?
Listen, man, I knew what I wanted. Sora was kick-ass and fucking cool, and she had red hair.
You didn't fall in love with anyone in like Eureka 7?
I was an adult when I watched Cierra. I'm like, I don't think I'm allowed to. Well, I was like 17, so I guess, yeah. None of them. No, definitely not. No.
Oh, okay.
No. If anyone, it would be Anemone, because I like her character development the most, and like... I don't want to get into it too much, but like relatable in some ways that are fucked up and bad because, you know, we all been through bad shit and like that's even though she's like a psychotic person that's like gonna kill everyone, like good shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's me.
Me too.
Oh shit. Okay. I was making a joke. So that's been tonight's episode. Please leave. Essentially though, I have always found interest in romance stories within anime. Yeah. And I feel like movies do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
But in TV shows, they have that long build up. Mm-hmm, and you're just like so fucking ready for these characters to hold hands.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. And there are times and they do it so casually. And like sometimes those are my absolute favorite. Like in Trigun, they have a little subplot where Wolfwood and Millie, after all this time of being together and apart and whatnot, it's not even like they didn't have any kind of romance or anything. Wolfwood is like a priest type dude and he just wants everyone to be happy and he cares so much about kids, and Millie is like the nicest person alive and her weapon of choice is a stun gun, which nobody dies from. She's like a nice ass person. And there's just like a scene where you see that she's like hanging out in bed and then he's just like over smoking a cigarette and then like jumps to something else and she's like really concerned about him. And you're like, okay, so they're together and that's that. And fucking amazing job just showing me that and making me care about it so much suddenly. I don't know, like after all that build up and whatnot, they're like, and this happened and it makes sense and you just agree with it and it's perfect. Yeah. But then there are other times, and it fucking annoys me sometimes, man. Romance can be difficult in shows where it's just like, get together. It takes so long.
Yeah, either like that or they're like super like in the case of like Inuyasha or whatever, like there is sort of that love triangle where like Inuyasha was in love with Kagome because she kind of looked like Kikyo. And so, you know, he constantly kept going back and forth between them. And then, you know, is that during that time you're just like so frustrated. You're like, just pick one or whatever.
Yeah, just like choose the right person, please. Did you have like one that you wanted him to choose more than another?
I mean, I preferred Kikyo because Kagome was just always in the way, messing up shit. The only time that she was good was when she was like teaching him a lesson. But
sometimes that's important, but like you don't want to, you know, have a lover's quarrel like every fucking day, lesson teaching. But Kikyo has a much more adorable name, so I'd go with Kikyo. Yes,
she is my favorite.
I know like nothing about Inuyasha, and I'm just like imagining this. But and I could imagine all the characters, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck's who. I can't remember what they did. I don't remember who gave like stern talks to Inuyasha.
Well, see, Kagome is the reincarnate of Kikyo.
Is she a human?
Yeah, Kagome is a human, yes.
And Kikyo was a demon spirit thing.
She was a priestess.
That's what I said. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was totally fine. Yeah, so since there are so many different shows that have this love story going on, but it's not the main focus of it, we're just going to be talking about ones where it is the main focus.
All right.
Okay. Can you think of any good shows? That's the main focus. I know that Juan loves Golden Time.
Yes.
And that is pretty heavy on the love story because essentially that's all it is.
Yeah. Basically, the main girl, she was obsessed with her boyfriend, but her boyfriend dumped her and moved to schools. And she followed him.
Yeah, she did not like that. So.
Nope. And then the guy's friend befriended her, and then they started falling in love. And then they had a weird relationship because she was almost like on the verge of extreme stalker.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Very over the top and obsessed.
I think she was an extreme stalker. I don't know like the levels of stalking, but I feel like there's not like a big difference between stalker and extreme stalker. I feel like stalker is somebody who like watches and pays attention and then like sometimes they act. But extreme stalker is like, yeah, I'm fucking stalking you. What are you going to do about it? And that's kind of what she was, right?
Yeah. She was very like, she wasn't like, you know, like a behind the scenes stalker. She was just like, oh, I'm going to insert myself in all your classes. I am going to follow you home. I'm going to find out what your favorite this is and what your favorite that is. But what made the relationship work was that like the main boy, Bonri, he was okay with it. He didn't find it
right because he was
alarming.
Totally done with her. Right?
No, Bonri's the second guy that she ends up staying with forever.
Yeah, because like he's totally done with her, right?
No,
he's like whatever. Let's just hang out. I guess I'm done with you though. Like yeah.
No,
I don't remember the names of the characters at all. But now I understand that I severely messed up what I was saying. And things like that just happen, and that's what I also like about those stories where it's like love is messy, but it's good. So like even if there's some weird complication there, if it's okay, then it's exciting to watch. I don't know. It just depends on how characters handle certain things in shows.
Oh yeah, and like in Golden Time, you kind of like see her kind of like switch a little bit because when he does get his memories back. Yeah,
which is an important plot point that we missed there. He just like he doesn't remember shit. So,
well, I figured if anyone listened to your previous podcast, they probably heard that part. Nobody listens
to that part. Nobody remembers that. That was from like a year ago, like probably. A full year. Nobody's listened to that.
Yeah, but essentially, when he basically gets his old life back, she basically like lets him go and says, you know, like, because he realizes he was in love with a different girl that he was best friends with.
And that is intense.
And she's like, well, you loved her before you loved me, so you can be with her. But then, you know, the second girl was like, no, you two deserve each other.
Well, look at that. It's all good. Wait, after he got his memories back, was he interested in the main girl still? Or was it kind of just like, well...
He was really confused and he didn't know what to do or what to think anymore. So he like literally like dropped out of school and went back home because he needed to get his head on straight.
That is the realest shit. And when I had to watch the show for homework... didn't feel like it was going to get like that at all. It just felt like it was a really weird slice of life.
Yeah, because in the beginning, you know, it was like lighthearted and weird and like crazy stuff was happening. And then like probably about like mid-show was like when, you know, like you see him start like struggling. He starts having like episodes where he's slowly starting to like gain little bits back. And then when it finally all hits him, everything, like, it takes a really dark turn. And, like, a lot of people are upset and trying to figure this stuff out. And it was really crazy. It was very dramatic.
That sounds pretty cool. I absolutely love when shows do that, when they have this big reveal and then it changes everything about the show. I love that so much. And, like, it's just any kind of, like, drama in a show is what makes me like it. My favorite movies, just like regular American movies, are drama, which is also weird because I never want to see it in theaters, but I'm always like, I fucking love drama. It's like half of the movies that I own. And then the other half are like comedy and horror.
Yeah.
So like, mostly I'm just like in drama and crying and shit like that. So if an anime is able to make me do that, which anime can do it better than American television usually. Like it's pretty uncommon for me to watch some dramatic movie or something and wind up crying. A lot of people are just like, oh man, I couldn't handle it. Like this happened and I just started losing it. I'm like, yeah, but anime did it better. So like, I don't know, maybe just like get cultured or something.
I don't know if anime's ever made me cry.
Whoa, anime makes me cry more, for sure.
I don't know. I don't think it has. I mean, there's been times when like, you know, Juan and I are like watching it late at night and I usually like have like tears fall out of my eyes when I yawn. And
that doesn't count.
I know. I'm just saying like there's been times when we've like watched shows and I like yawn and then like, you know, tears are rolling down my face. He's like, don't cry. And I was like, I'm not crying. I was like, I just yawned.
I know that a lot of the time for me, like whenever there is a sad movie or something sad is happening, and I like legitimately have like a scratch or an itch or something, and I'm just like, okay, and then I like rub my eyes. I was like, I hope no one thinks I'm crying at this because I'm not. I am weak, but this isn't that shit that I cry for. Like, I'm not afraid. Whenever I do cry, I never wipe away the tears. I just fucking let them happen.
Just let them fall.
I was like, I'm beautiful when I cry, and you all appreciate me right now. But yeah, no, Golden Time. It's weird how it turned into such a dramatic love story type show.
Yeah.
But like, what made the love in it so compelling? Like, what made you want the characters to be together, or whatever?
I wanted them to be together because like they were like polar opposites. The characters.
That's the fucked up thing where I'm like, polar opposites, I always want them, like, if they're gonna be together, I'm like, I want you to be together because you're gonna find that love and you're gonna appreciate each other for all the differences that you give, all the different views and the different ways that you handle situations in life. Yeah, I like that polar opposite deal. Yeah,
they're polar opposites, and like, you know, she's crazy, but he knows how to deal with her crazy. And like, because even though he doesn't remember anything, he's like, you know, struggles with the fact that he doesn't remember. Yeah. It's like a huge burden that weighs on him. And, you know, she takes that into consideration whenever they do stuff together. And so it was like, even though their personalities were exactly opposite, like they made sure that they, you know, like understood each other.
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of anime, it's really hard to convey the amount of like talking and thinking go into like actual real life stuff.
Yeah.
And somehow I'm just okay with that. Meanwhile, in real life, I'm like, I don't know, it takes like a couple days to process shit like most of the time.
Yeah.
Then anime, they get over it in like 2 hours. They see each other after class and they're like, I've changed everything. Whatever it is. But I like it that he had to drop out of school and go home to figure out what was going on with his life and get himself straight and figure out the right kind of things to do. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that... like when you had given me a list of like all the different romance anime or whatever, that's the one that I thought of first because Juan fucking loved it, and it was the first like romance anime that he had ever talked about in some way or another.
I was surprised that he loved it because before, I think it was before the podcast started, was when we watched it, and he and I would take turns like picking an anime that we'd watch, and so we had just. Before that, we had watched Parasite, and
that's a little bit different.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna make him watch a romantic one. So I like literally went online as like list of romantic anime, and so I was like, reading through the summaries. I was like, this one sounds interesting, and yeah, we were both surprised. And we both loved it. And I was actually surprised that he liked it. Yeah,
it turns out that Juan loves love. And that's like his favorite thing ever. So
it's a big old softie.
He sure is. Like he had watched, it's like Tsuki ga Kirei or something like that. Whatever the one was that had weird animation, but it was a love story. And he just like fucking lost it. It was like last season, I think.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember that one.
I don't remember. It was of these like two junior high students that were in love with each other. It doesn't matter. He didn't watch it with you because he knew that you didn't have the heart for it or some shit that he made up. I don't know.
He probably didn't want to watch it with me because he probably cried.
Well, it was a guilty pleasure for him. I can tell you that much. Oh. So there's a pretty good chance that that's why. He didn't want to. So what are some other romance anime that you've watched?
Let's see. Another one that I've watched is a show called Lovely Complex. Have you heard of it or seen it?
You know what? The name is familiar, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is.
Well, the second name for it is Lovecom is what the shorthand for it.
No, Lovely Complex sounds more familiar than Lovecom. Maybe I just don't know what it is.
Well, basically, it's about this girl who's super tall and this boy who's super short.
Perfect.
And they make a deal with each other that basically, like, if she gets a boyfriend before he gets a girlfriend, then he has to buy her video games. If he gets a girlfriend before she gets a boyfriend, she has to buy him new shoes.
All right. So then... I'm just going to jump to the end of the show.
Okay, let's hear it.
Did they both buy things for each other, or did they both just fall in love and not buy anything because they both lost?
They both fall in love and not buy anything.
I wish that they both bought each other things is the point. I'm like, you guys, come on. You made a deal.
But yeah, because like... because they enter in this like little competition with each other, they spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
And so and actually the two people that they were pursuing end up getting together.
Okay, yeah.
And then so they're like, well, what are we going to do now? The guy that I was interested in now is with the girl that you were interested in.
Happens every time.
And then, like their friends are all hanging out and their friends are even like, you two should try going out. And they're like, what? Are you crazy? But then, like slowly as they like go on like these group dates with their friends.
Well, they're each pairing off on those dates, I'm sure.
Yep. A lot of pairing off. They end up going to a concert together. And like, they say that they have nothing in common. But then, there's always parts where they like always talk in unison or whatever. Or like they both started like gushing about like the person that they went to the concert about and stuff like that. And they see these little connections. Their friends like, oh, look, see, you guys have stuff in common. They're like, no. So for a good like portion of the anime, you know, they're like trying to fight it. And then, you know, you have like little side characters that come in, like this guy who was an elementary school friend comes in and tries to, you know, woo her. And then this young...
I don't know. Like, they're in high school, right?
Yes.
That fucking cracks me up. Like, I'm imagining all of my elementary school friends, and I'm like, if one of them came up and started, like, trying to woo somebody, I would like, not have any opinion. I would be like, the fuck did you come from, you elementary school piece of shit? Like... Anyways, continue.
Yeah, and then like this like little freshman girl comes and she like kisses the boy all of a sudden because she just fell head over heels for him because he saved a dog who was growling at her. And yeah, it's just like these little...
Wait, he saved the dog that was growling at her, or her from the dog?
I realized that I worded that weirdly. Basically,
okay.
a dog was growling at her, and she was freaking out. And
so
then
he killed the dog?
Almost.
What the fuck?
I'm just kidding.
I feel like almost death is worse than death. Then it's just suffering.
No, he literally walks over, gets down on his knees, and he starts petting the dog, and then it's all right.
Okay, yeah. That's almost death.
And then that was a pivotal moment that she fell in love with him.
That was the moment?
Yeah, that was the moment that the freshman girl fell in love with him.
That is a pretty good moment, though. I would probably fall in love with him.
And then she met up with him after school and kissed him. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I act before I think.
She thought about it. She wanted to kiss him. Come on.
It was definitely premeditated. And then, like, right after that, she's like, we can just be friends, but will you go out with me? And he was like, okay. And then everyone's like, what? Because you just met this girl today.
Yeah. You know, well, I mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah, so basically they kind of go through these little mini relationships and then they start, you know, realizing that, you know, they're into each other, but they don't know how to go about it. They have this like a little awkward, like, oh, should I tell him? Should I confess? Meh, meh, just a whole bunch of freaking out. And then they finally get together.
You know, like, there are all these shows where they do have that, like, will they, won't they? The characters don't like each other. But then there are other times where it's like, kind of like you, I kind of like you too, and it goes on forever. And recently they've come out with more shows and movies that are really in your face about it. And like, these characters like each other and they're just dating, and it's like about that. How do you feel about that difference in it? Do you like that the characters are just like dating and happy and that's what happens, or do you like that like conflict? Will they get together? Once they get together at the end, everyone's happy. You like that?
I think having to choose, I think I like kind of like the back and forth and the struggle. Yeah. But then again, at the same time, sometimes that struggle goes on for like way too long. I'm like, oh, just get together already.
Yeah. Well, because they're so similar, but also so different, where like there is that, oh my God, just get together. Like, you're perfect for each other. Yeah. And they spend all this time together before they even wind up dating. So they already took care of like a lot of the weird things that would come up when you start dating or whatever. But then there are those other shows. Like, I know that one that you want to watch is My Love Story.
Yes.
And I watched the first season and I loved it. And I haven't watched it since. And I don't know what's wrong with me because I fucking loved it. Essentially, big dude falls in love with super sweet girl. Yeah. And big dude looks like a monster to most people, but he's like the kindest person that's ever existed, essentially. Yeah. And he gets together with the kindest person that's ever existed. And it takes like 2 episodes or something like that for them to get together. I don't know. Anyways, then it's a matter of he doesn't know how to date at all. So he's trying to figure out how to like be the best boyfriend he could be and like get through all these issues and whatnot. And it is the sweetest show. And I love that. And then there are other shows like Suraduri Children that was,
I loved that one.
Yeah, I watched the first episode and I was like, I want to watch more of this because you have different love stories between different characters.
Yeah.
That they're all in relationships, and it shows like kind of how they first get together.
Yeah.
And some of them, they're just already together, and it builds on that, and it shows you the different kinds of weird situations people might have to go through, especially different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And it was just like a fun little show, like such a unique thing.
Yeah.
So there are pretty successful ways of doing it, but then there are other shows where I don't know. That will they won't they is frustrating.
Yeah.
And I feel like so far there have been more successful shows that in my opinion, that I've enjoyed, where the characters are just together and they're trying to figure out how to date and get over these weird little situations and whatnot.
Yeah.
I get such a kick out of that, and I think that it's so charming and so sweet, and I just love that whole thing. But also like the conflict of like, well, I don't know. So I'm pretty mixed, but so far I've had a good history of enjoying shows where the characters are just together.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about that, but
yeah. I mean, I do sometimes. I like it when they do start off, or like sometimes in the first episode is when they get together.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're not already together.
Like, did you ever see Plastic Memories?
No,
Okay.
but I think it was one that I've been wanting to watch, or I've seen it a lot of places.
It pretty quickly develops into the love story. The first episode made me cry right off the fucking bat, and then it just turns into this love story as it goes on. And I liked the show for the most part, but I was more interested in the non-love story parts of it.
Okay.
But it had a really good love story, so I was very conflicted. I'm like, okay, so this is great, and I like everything that's happening here, and it's like a really interesting story with the whole like relationship and how things would work, because it's like a robot person and a regular person.
Okay,
and,
okay.
Yeah.
I was ringing a bell now.
Yeah. Okay, good. We're getting there. And essentially what the show is they're going around and they're shutting off robots that people, it's not like just normal robots. It's like they look and act exactly like people, and it starts out and there's an older couple, and this is where I cried for sure. There's an older couple. You know what? It might just be one person. I can't remember. Regardless, they're older and they have a child, and it's a robot child, and they've been raising them for a certain period of time, and everything's been great. But then it's the day where the robot has to shut down, and you get to see a little snippet of that, and how they didn't want to be shut down, and the grandparents didn't want them to get shut down, and like everything was happening, and it was just like really emotional and sad. I'm like, I fucking love that. Then you find out that this love interest, she is an old robot. So she's gonna be shut down soon. So it's like kind of emotional, but I'm also like, I would be really into that if the main character wasn't in the business where he was shutting down robots.
Okay.
Because it's like, dude, you fucking knew what you were in for. You see all the fucking difficult times. Before you fell in love, you were seeing all this stuff happen. And then you're like, well, I'm in love and she's going to die. And it was just like, it took me aback, because I would have absolutely loved for them to like fall in love and everything. And he knows she's a robot or whatever. And then she's like, I don't have much time left. But like initially they were like, yep, she doesn't have much time left. She's like an older model. She can't do anything. And they're like, go and get that kid. And she like jumps off of a balcony, but she like doesn't have any power behind it. So she just like leaps and falls straight down. And I remember seeing a clip of that, and I was like, that looks fucking hilarious. I want to watch that show. And then I was like, this is just an emotional show, and it's a good time. And like, that love story, I feel like could have been so much stronger, because they had a really, really good foundation. They had likable characters. They had cool designs, cool world, cool like everything set up, where I was really intrigued. But then it just kind of fell flat, which is a big shame, because love stories are like my favorite, man. I absolutely love them, and whenever they're in shows, like I'm so into it. I think my favorite relationship in any show is in Eureka 7, without a doubt. But it's these characters that are there for one episode.
What? Oh, I probably didn't get that far.
You definitely didn't, yeah. So there's a period of time where Rinton is off on his own, doing his own things, and he had passed out in a field, and this man came and like picked him up and brought him back to his little house in the middle of this enormous field. There's just like crops all over, but it's overgrown grass, and like these crazy structures are up that are supposed to do certain things in order to like keep the world in balance and like manage stuff. Anyways, so he just lives in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, what's going on? And he's the nicest man. My favorite character in anything I've ever seen is this man, and he's just helping out Renton, the main character, get better since he had passed out, and he's like clearly not doing okay because he was like homeless for a few days. All this shit's going on. And then you find out about his wife, who has this disease called desperation disease that everybody in the whole like world kind of knows about, but not many people actually get to see it. Where there are these devices that you put into the like mechs, and it activates them. And that's the most common thing, where people grab that and they stare at that. But other people do, like, their children, and they'll sometimes have like teddy bears and they'll just like stare at those. And it's a very interesting thing where not many characters have it, and you don't really get to see it very much, but you know about it. And then this woman has it, and the man is so just in love with her and is the kindest person. And she's just like, she's catatonic, and he feeds her like soup and whatnot. It's like dribbling out of her mouth, and he's like wiping it up, just smiling the whole time. Like, it's okay. She's like here, and you know, we're just trying to live life as happily as we can. And who knows? And it was just the most sweet, sad shit I have ever seen. And he's my favorite character. And he always, like, every time that comes up, I cannot handle it when I'm watching it. I fucking cry. I'm like, that is such a depressing life, and you were such a beautiful young man, and you deserve everything happy. And I don't want to go into much more because they revisit them, like, really late into the show, like, almost at the end. And it's a little bit of extra stuff, and it's a great show. Is all I have to say. My favorite characters that I thought were gone forever because they were just a little snippet, little like it just didn't even need to be there. They were beautiful people, and they brought them back at the very end. And fuck, it's a good show, Cierra. It's the best show I've ever seen. Cierra, it's got so much love in it, so much. There's. I'm trying to think of all the different relationships in it because I fucking love it. There's like Hilda and not Moondog. Hilda and fucking, what is his name? His name's like a regular ass name. It's like Kevin or some shit. I don't know. They're together, and then you have Holland and I'm forgetting like everyone's names. The other girl, you got Moondoggy, and you got Gidget, and then you got Eureka and Renton, and you have Anemone and Dominic, and then you have Norb and Sakura, and like all of this fucking shit. There's so many different things, and then you see these little couples all throughout. Fuck, man, it's like the best love story of all. It's got so many in there, Cierra, and I think that's actually why I like it so much, is how much love there is in the show. It shows all different kinds of relationships with all different conflicts, and like family things, and like first love things, and like fucked up things, and some like totally fine things. Long story short, I really, really like that love story. I don't remember how I started on that tangent, but the man and his wife that live in the middle of nowhere, the kindest man of all time. Never forget it. It is the most powerful episode of anything I've seen in terms of love. Sorry. In terms of love.
I think one of my favorite love stories, like most recent, is in the No Game No Life movie.
In the movie?
Yeah, in the movie.
Oh shit, I didn't know you liked it that much.
I loved their relationship between And now I'm totally forgetting their names.
It's okay. One of them was like a robot girl with like a million long names, but then she just wound up being named like You or some shit.
Yeah.
Like one syllable, like really easy maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But the Shiro of the normal show in robot form in the movie. And the guy who I don't remember his name in the movie either, but Sora in the normal show. Gotcha.
But yeah, their relationship I loved so much. It was so cute. And like I remember like in the movie I was like, Juan, look.
Yeah, that was a pretty strong connection. I feel like movies do a really good job at making these more powerful ones than TV shows do, but TV shows do a good job of making you care about the characters and the love that they have and whatnot, more so than movies, unless it's explicitly about that. Because like in Your Name, I wanted these people to get together so badly. I was fucking losing. I was like, please be together. You have to be. You're meant for each other. You know?
Yeah. No, I felt the same way too. Because like, it definitely made me feel sad when they were going to try to meet up.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't seen Your Name, it has... It's Freaky Friday, essentially, but with two people who are around the same age. There's a girl, there's a guy. One lives in the city, the other one lives in the country and does a bunch of Japanese cultural shit. Mm-hmm. And they progressively fall in love with each other, even though they don't see or know each other. They become each other and they kind of like get to know their life. So they figure out who the person is and like what they're like, and they fall in love. So they were finally going to meet up.
Yeah, they were finally going to meet up, and then they both get there, but they're both not there.
And I could not fucking handle it. Makoto Shinkai does it again. All of his movies have this amazing love story in one way or another. Mm-hmm. Even like She and Her Cat has this cat who's just like, oh yeah, and then my I don't even know what he called the woman, like owner. I don't know, but he was just like so in love with her. Mm-hmm. But then eventually he got a girlfriend, a little girlfriend cat, and it was adorable. And then like it goes back to the woman that he absolutely loves and whatnot. And it's just like a big old love story. They don't even focus on the girlfriend. They just like have this other thing. It's a different kind of love story, and I just adored it. And they have like Voices of a Distant Star. Makoto Shinkai made that, where these two characters are in love with each other and they finally admit it. But one of them is going off to war, and she is going to be flying through space and fighting these aliens. So
I remember watching that one with Juan.
Yeah, that one was really sweet and sad, just like all of his fucking movies. So like they're sending these texts.
Sad because she's in space, so it takes forever for the messages to get to him.
Like the first, it starts out and it's just a long time apart, and then it's like months apart, and then it's years apart.
Yeah,
and he has sent out a bunch of texts to her, but she can't get them. She doesn't know that. So we see a lot of the texts that she's like sending to him. Yeah. And then we see him receiving it and whatnot. And he's like older. And then we see her still in space, and she's younger because time works differently in space for a lot of reasons. But then we find out at the very end that the reason he's receiving all of these and she's not getting any is because she fought some aliens and died. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty intense. I was like, wow, that was as real as they could have made that. But then he makes fucking 5 centimeters per second, and it's just the sad shit. Like nothing is happy. Yeah. I'm like, oh, these people are together, and it's like they're apart, and you're just like, oh fuck, that's not cool. Oh man, like I hope that she's with that guy. He'll never be in love with her. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, maybe this thing's gonna work out. And it's like, no, life's meaningless. Just go kill yourself. Like, cool. Thanks, Makoto Shinkai. That was a beautiful movie, and it made me cry and like feel like I shouldn't exist. Good job. But that is a love story. How is that even fucking possible? It shows all these like different romantic relationships, but then it turns out that it can never be good.
Yeah, and then there was it. I'm never good with who makes who, so you'll have to pop in.
Yeah.
It's the the girl who leapt through time.
Yeah, man, Kon is his name, I think. Like Satoshi Kon or something like that. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I could watch it like all the time. I haven't seen it in a long time, actually, and I love it. So we've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah.
Essentially, there's a girl who she's kind of a ditz, and she's really likable right off the bat. She's got a couple of best friends, a couple dude friends, and then she's cleaning up one day because they always have to do some kind of like cleaning and shit in Japan. So she's cleaning up and she like trips and falls, and then she winds up like accidentally jumping through time at a certain point, and she realizes that she did it. And she's like, the fuck? Like, why am I back here right now? And then we see her progressively do that, and it turns into a love story where she had freaked out at one point where one of her best friends admits that he is in love with her.
Yep.
And she panics and she leaves through time again and again and again. And I'm just like, love this man. Love him.
I know.
Be together.
That's exactly how I was. I was like, why are you panicking?
Right?
I mean, I can understand, panicking at first, but like, why would you try to like go back and like reverse it to the point where you could stay friends? It's like, there's so many other ways around that without you having to go back in time.
Oh man. Yeah, it was, I fucking love that movie. It looks great. It's got so much heart. It's just fucking killer movie. And yeah, we get to see these amazing characters build into their own like people.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it becomes, because she's just trying to like fix all the mistakes she's made and do things perfectly. And then there are some issues that come up with that. But then it turns into, hey, we should talk. And she's like, what? And then he's like, so I really like you. And like, I don't know. I just felt like you should know we should be together. And then she panics. And I'm like, Chiaki is a great young man and you should be with Chiaki. Yeah, that movie's fantastic.
Yeah. It was funny because when I first watched it, like I loved the story, but even though, at the end they end up together, even after it was over, I was still like so frustrated with her that she took forever to realize that, that she liked him also. And it was such a frustrating thing for me to watch that over and over. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, just get in tune with yourself and realize that you like him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was wrong with the director, by the way. I realized that as we were talking. I was like, oh, wait, Cohen's another guy. This is Mamoru Hosoda.
Okay.
Or Hosoda. Hosoda. Mamoru Hosoda. I got it. Nailed it. First try. Easy. Yeah, like, there are these different kinds of stories where you have these characters that are clearly supposed to be together and they don't want to be together. And I don't know, man. Like, they're really frustrating, but I always find myself liking them.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know what it is. But then there's other movies like A Silent Voice where it feels like it's a romance, but it's not. And I thought that was really cool that they were able to do that.
Because, she confesses and then he misunderstands what she's saying. And then they kind of just like leave it at that. And, they don't like expand on it and just show like how they're loving each other. Yeah. But not having like that sort of like extra intimate relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. But overall, I don't even know what my favorite like explicitly love anime romance type thing there is. But I think that you could look at so many different anime and find like the most genuine kind of love experiences. While sometimes it's a lot harder in just like American television and movies. because you find those love stories and you're like, these are so great, but it also feels like they're movie great and they're not like as genuine. And there's a lot of things in anime too where it does feel like this isn't a real thing that would happen. Like in Golden Time, the way that the stalker girl acts and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't a real thing that would happen, and somebody is just okay with that.
Yeah, most people would go to the police and get a restraining order.
That's pretty much what would happen. So it's kind of difficult since a lot of these love stories, people are invested in them, but then it's also like it doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, in
some ways. And then there are these different anime that make the most beautiful love story. Like Eureka 7. Could go back to every fucking love romance thing in that, and you're like, I see all these different things that work out perfectly, and it's fucking great. I love it. Best fucking romance there is. I don't know. Overall, like since there's so many different kinds of romance shows and movies out there, do you have a favorite? Do you have like like everyone should see this for the romance type thing?
Ooh, I can't say. No, I don't think there's a particular one that I would recommend, because I mean, I think that there are some like animes that are adds the love relationship, kind of like adds to the story, but I don't think that there's any anime in particular where I'd be like, oh, you should watch it because of the love story.
Well, I mean, if you're seeking out like I understand exactly what you mean, but if you're seeking out like a specific kind of romance in anime, what do you feel like has the best romance that you've seen?
The best romance that I've seen.
I know it's a big question.
It is a big question.
There are dense shows, dense movies that have so many other elements to it that tie into it. But like, what gives you the best payoff, or what just has the most genuine kind of like, what are you the most excited about whenever you see that relationship in anime?
Well, I can't think of a particular anime, but if I were to recommend an anime because of the love story, it'd be because of kind of like in the No Game, No Life movie, where, you know, these two different people, the robot and the guy, how like he did not like her at all at first. Because, you know, she was part of a
hive
group.
Mind.
Yeah, hive
that
mind.
Was like evil.
Exactly. And so they were at odds, but then, you know, like working together, they slowly like build this relationship. Yeah. And that's like one of the things I love, kind of like we were talking about, like polar opposites finding each other. And that's what I love the most, is when these opposites come together.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the reason that Eureka 7 has some of the best relationships in it is because you have all the different elements to it, which is like, you see some that are already set up, you see how they develop and get through problems and whatnot. But then there's also like a couple that have to deal with solving your own issues before you could actually commit and be happy in a relationship. Like, there's a really, really big element to the show where different characters have to have a certain amount of love and willpower and like a partner in order to just do whatever weird anime shit there is, essentially. And there's a huge element of figuring out yourself and what would make you happy and what works before you can make this relationship happy and make it work. And I think that that's like a really great message to kind of send home, is that you have to figure out what would make you happy before you can make someone else happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like in that sense that like everything you just said reminded me of the movie, was it Garden of Words?
Garden of Words, yeah.
Where like,
That was
these
another fantastic Makoto Shinkai masterpiece.
These two people who have their own struggles or whatever, and they meet in this one place and they start building a relationship.
Yeah.
And then they find out each other's struggles.
Yeah.
And then it comes to this like big explosion essentially.
Even though it's like very mild, it's a cerebral explosion of sorts. Okay.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, because I feel like most of the time, at least in a lot of the love stories that I like fall in love with, they have a good sense of like reality to them. Because like was it Suriduri Children? Like that one's fun and lighthearted and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it, but it's something about like the realism in like these other ones, like Garden of Words, and like sort of like the polar opposites coming together, and people with struggles coming together. That sense of realism is what makes me fall in love with a lot of the romance ones.
I definitely understand that. Yeah, because even though Suriduri Children had these fun relationships, they were a bit ridiculous in a lot of ways. And it does take place in like the real world. It's not just some like crazy kind of like space people or something. I don't know. Yeah. Having that realism and that like raw, genuine connection between these characters feels a lot better than just kind of throwing them into something and being like, yeah, whatever. And like, it's funny. Just make some jokes. Like I've seen this show called My Husband Is... God, what the fuck is it? It's like My Husband Is... an otaku or something like that.
I think I've heard of that one.
Okay, yeah. Which... That's also a lot of fun, and it's sweet and charming and everything, but it does not feel like it doesn't feel real by any means. Yeah. But yeah, that's a fun one.
Oh, yeah, because like those are fun, but you don't necessarily fall in love with the love story.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's an otaku, but I don't know, because it's all about him being like they don't understand each other because they're from like different worlds, and he's just like a nerdy dude and she's just like a normal kind of person. I don't know. I don't remember what it is, but that's a fun little show. But yeah, having that realism is for sure what makes it so good. So I don't have much more to say about love stories. I feel like we've covered enough and I repeated myself like a lot. So I think I'm pretty good on this topic for this week. Right. How do you feel about it? Any closing words you wanted to give us?
My closing words. I don't think I have any now.
All right, that's great. It's fine.
I was trying to think of something clever to say, but nothing was coming.
It's cool. Let's just do our wrap up here. Do you want to give it do you remember everything? Do you want to? I'm fucking with you. I got this. Okay. So check it out, you guys. This is the end of the episode. If you like the logo, go ahead and hit up Erin at turvytops.com. She's a great artist, a wonderful person. You can go ahead and check out Tom, who did our intro. Tom Nasser. You could look him up on SoundCloud and YouTube. He's coming out with new music soon. He's doing a Glass Animals cover, from what I've understood. Tom Nasser, NASR. And people can find us on Facebook. Look up the Instant Ramen Podcast. Same goes for Instagram. Look up the Instant Ramen Podcast. If you want to send us a tweet at Instant Ramen Pod. And
this podcast didn't fit.
That's absolutely true. Good
job.
Nailed it. I'm like, I'm just doing my thing. And shoot us an email. Give us a suggestion. Tell us to watch Monster, and then we'll never watch it. Or tell us to watch something else, and we actually will watch it.
Does Juan tell you? I ask him all the time, like, so this week, are you guys going to watch Monster?
Does he? Okay, because I always think about it, and I always want to, but I'm like, it's such a commitment. I promise we're going to get around to it eventually. But you could shoot us an email at instantramenpodcast@gmail.com. We've got a YouTube, we've got a blog, we got some other shit. It's all going to be down in the description. We had this little event. I don't know if you were able to catch it. But
the Twitch live feed thing?
Yeah, we did a stream the other night playing Doki Doki Literature Club. And from what I understood, Juan did not enjoy it. Leandra thought it was boring. And I'm intrigued. I don't know what's going on, but I trust Kyle's opinion on it, and he wants us to finish it. So we're going to finish that soon. Oh. So stay tuned. It stays up on the channel, so you could go check that out at twitch.tv/Crispother, KRISPOTHER. That's pretty much everything that I have, and I am so happy that you were able to come and do this episode, and like you've been with us like through the whole thing, you know, the whole deal. You've been listening. You've been like the best, Cierra.
Aww.
And I'm really happy that you were able to make this work for us, help us out a lot.
Well, I'm glad you had me on. Because Juan probably would never have asked me.
Yeah, you know what? Juan wouldn't have. And you know what? That's okay, because he's not here right now, and it's just us having the best podcast we've ever had.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So that's it, guys. That's the episode. Just, don't forget.
Just add hot water.
Perfect. I never do that part. I never know what to fucking do. So I'm like, whatever.